Hello everyone. Not gonna lie, today is gonna be a bit of a depressing video. I laugh as I get through this, but I don't think we're gonna laugh too hard in 2021 because this is the year where we're gonna be completely erased in 2021. So a lot of you who are here, you're here because you're red-pilled. Or you wanna you wanna bash the comment section. But no, most of you are red pill, and I'm so glad that so many people are out there are red pilled, because I think it's going to be people like us that try to alert as many people as possible, and these people that we're trying to alert, they will see it. Everybody's going to realize what is happening, which is, and just in case you don't know, there's a globalist communist movement happening right now, and they are trying to take over. So it's basically the resurgence of communism, but at a global scale. So if you're in a democratic country, your leaders are no longer working for your country. They are effectively working for the globalist communist state that they're trying to impose on us. So this is why nothing made sense from a national perspective. So you're wondering, we're in a pandemic and we don't have any money, but yet we're giving money to foreign aid for other countries. That's why it's part of communism. It's part of taking money from wealthy countries and redistributing it to the non-wealthy countries who can't produce for themselves. And what's going to happen in the end of all this is we're all going to be poor. So this is the lesson of communism. You all end up equally, but equally poor. So because countries can't contribute and produce for themselves, and we're funding that, once we're done funding that, nobody's going to be there to fund anything anymore. We're all going to fall apart. So you're going to be erased in 2021. The process has already been started. And the people who think this is crazy talk, well, you are in for the rudest awakening of all, because you may not realize it now, but you will eventually along the year 2021 realize what is really happening. So it's too bad, because by the time you people are going to realize, it's going to be too late, and the rest of us have been trying to warn you. So be it. I don't know what else I can possibly do. So how you're going to be erased, I've kind of grouped it in 4 different categories that I'm going to go through, and you're going to see that the categories overlap. So the 4 categories of how you are going to be erased is financially, socially, morally, and physically. So let's start with the financial category. So we've just entered the second shutdown where I am, full lockdown. And the brick and mortar stores will not survive this one. So this is just an economical, mathematical fact. They cannot survive this. So it means by the time we're allowed to open again, these business owners, small business owners, will have run out of money. And there will be no more. So they're going to be state dependent. So that's the first step to the financial ruin. But the second step is going to come a bit later in 2021. So for example, I'm in the private sector as a project manager, and I work online. So I think there's going to be some kind of an online, they're going to do something to the rest of the people, because if we're not financially dependent on the state, it's very hard to advance the goals of communism. So they're going to need to go after that category of people to have almost everybody be dependent on the state. So I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know if they're going to mess with the internet, because obviously to work from home, you absolutely need an internet connection. I was at work last week, and for like just a brief second, I lost my internet connection, and I could do nothing. I couldn't communicate with people. I couldn't access anything on shared drives. I could do nothing. There was nothing I could do, because everything I do is online. So it's very easy to just go in and attack that. So if you want to get the people who are still employed out of work, it's just going to be a series of cyber attacks. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they are aiming to cripple us financially, all of us, so that we're all in the same boat. And then, of course, the governments can rescue you. This is what communism wants. They promise that everything's going to be so much better than what you had it before. And that's how they win people over. So there's going to be also a hike of taxes. So even though I'm still working now, all of us who are still working are going to have higher taxes. It's going to come, we've already seen in Canada, the carbon tax. There's going to be other taxes added on to that. It could just even be that my tax rate is just going to go up. It's simple as that. So right now, about 45% of my income goes to the government. It could go up to 50. It could go up to 55. So that's one of the other ways they're going to cripple it. And by the time you're at 50% tax rate, you kind of start to weigh, am I supposed to work, or should I just quit my job and just get money from the government like the rest of them, right? Like, what's the incentive? There is no incentive. So, loss of business, higher taxes, fines. So if you go to your mom's house, you're going to get a $1,000 fine. You're going to see checkpoints, and if you're at a checkpoint for some reason and you shouldn't be, it's not a reason deemed acceptable that you're out and about, you're going to get a fine for that. Just in the last week, we've seen crazy things like fines for playing hockey and fines for people opening up their businesses when there's a lockdown imposed. So those things are kind of going to escalate in a way so that they can gather more money for the state, so it can be funding the global government. That's also going to collapse eventually. We all know that. And that's when just so you know, when the finances collapse and there's no more way to make money, that's when they start enslaving people. So that's when you work because you're coerced to work. So you're going to be put in a factory and said, you either work here or we can kill you. Which do you want? So that's the kind of thing that's coming. And not even a joke, like that's literally what's coming. I don't see how people can't see it. Do you think the people in the 1917 USSR were sitting there going, oh yeah, over the next 70 years, we're going to kill 150 million people? They never thought that. It never even crossed their minds. They thought, no, it's just going to be some kind of a, new government, and hopefully it's going to go well. So anyways, we've learned from that, but now there is a global communist movement that is going to go after you, and they will enslave you in the future. The other ways they're going to do this is socially. So they're going to socially erase you. The social erasure is going to be driven by fear. So they won't need to put too many penalties on that because people will be afraid. So it's going to be all that information like COVID, 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 you're going to die. You stay in your house, you're going to die. And if you go out, you're going to kill everybody. So that's one of the things. But part of that fear, it's kind of a side effect, is going to be the fear of your neighbors. So you're not just going to fear COVID, you're going to fear that your neighbors go out. So people are already starting to talk like, okay, well, if I go see my mom at Christmas, I have to park 2 streets over so that they can't tell which house I went into when I arrive, and they can't snitch on me. And we're starting to see snitching by people. So there's a lot of eager people out there who are misinformed, who are willing to go along with the globalist agenda, and they are going to snitch on you. So the fear, even if you want to break the rules because you don't believe in any of this, that's the portion of fear that might hold you back from doing something. So fear of your neighbors, fear of COVID, all sorts of levels of fear. That's how communism happens. It's by fear. But you're also going to have, like, socially, we've kind of lost a lot of our social abilities now because of the face covering. And just think about this. I did a video on masks, and there's a bunch of people said, it's just a mask, just do it, just wear the mask. And what these people fail to understand, in my opinion, is that now that the forces that be, the governments, have been able to force people to wear a mask for a disease that is not killing people, what are they going to do for the flu next time? Are they just going to say, hey, permanent masks, every time you go out in society you wear a mask? Are they going to make it worse? Are they going to say you now need to wear some kind of a suit? This is what I mean when I say you people don't understand it. It starts with a mask, and you with a swift hand gesture go, it's just a mask. You don't understand the globalist agenda behind this. This is part of erasing you as a person. It's making it hard for you to go and communicate with people. It's making you, people can't hear you. My kids in school are having trouble, the ones that were physically in school and had to wear the face coverings, are having trouble understanding what their teachers are saying. And now I have reports from teachers going, oh, your kid can't listen. I'm like, well, have you thought about maybe the fact that it's because he can't hear you? He doesn't understand? And after like 2 or 3 times of you muffling through your muzzle, he doesn't know, so he'll just give up, and then he misbehaves. Like boys, that's what they do. I have 6-year-old boy right now. I have 3 boys. That's what they do. Boys, they don't understand something, they just go off and do their own thing. So anyways, this is part of the social erasure that they are doing. The face covering is a big part of it. And another huge part of it is the social isolation. So by having you stuck in your house and not communicating with other people other than through Zoom or whatever, Skype, whatever, it's isolating you. So it's killing you from a social perspective. It's erasing you socially from your community. And the third one, morally. So this one, part of this is demoralization. Anybody who knows anything about Soviet history will understand that one of the necessary components for tyrannical communistic governments to take over is the demoralization of a population. That is one of the most important components, because once you're demoralized, you actually are willing to give up your freedoms more. So how they're doing this morally is they are sending you conflicting info. So wear masks, don't wear masks. You have to take a vaccine, but it won't be mandatory. But if you don't take it, you can't go to stores and you can't go to school. But it's not mandatory. You can go to Costco, but you can't go to the diner. You can stay within 2 kilometers of your house, but you can't travel far. All of these things are designed to demoralize you, and like I said at the start, these things are all interconnected. All of these elements are all interconnected. So while you're being demoralized, the mask can also be a demoralizing agent. To me it is. Absolutely it is. Ooh, look at that. My sweater is falling down. Ooh, sexy. But yes, to me, the mask is incredibly demoralizing. I feel like a dog when I go out. I feel like a dog, an infected dog that's going to bark at people, and that I need to be contained with a mask. This is why I don't wear the mask, and this is why also I don't go out. But it's incredibly demoralizing. So all these elements, they talk to each other. They are designed to work together towards the globalist agenda. So the conflicting info will keep coming. It'll be, okay, you have to get 1 vaccine. Oh no, it's going to be 4. You need to get 4 vaccines in 1 year. Oh no, just two vaccines. Okay, so if you don't get the vaccines, you have to move to this compound. So you better get the vaccine or else you're going to be moved. This is the conflicting info. Is it air transmitted? Is it not air transmitted? And this is just under COVID. The conflicting info will also happen. You know how I was referring to whatever they're going to do to attack financially people who are still employed after they've successfully killed the brick and mortar operations. I don't know if they're going to do some kind of portals where we all have to connect through those ones to make sure it's safe, but they're going to say, okay, if you're connecting via Facebook, you're safe, for example, but if you try to communicate via Parler, you're not safe. So therefore, you must go through Facebook. Like things like that, where they're going to say these things, and then they're going to say, okay, so Facebook got it wrong on this, but it's okay because we've corrected it. And then they're going to change things. They're going to completely dismantle anything that is not along with the agenda. And the conflicting info will just keep piling on. And you'll be in a state where you don't even know what is up and what is down anymore. And that's where they want you. That's where they want you to be. And we're headed there now. And part of the moral demoralization is also going to be attacking the church, so preventing gatherings and things like that. I don't know how it's going to be handled with mosques. I don't know if they're going to close down the mosques as well come Eid in 2021. I think they might, but I don't know. So anyways, we'll see how that goes. But removing the religious gatherings is going to be part of the demoralization, because they know people need their religion. They know a lot of fervent religious practitioners. Is that a thing? A practitioner? Practicing? Whatever. A Christian, a Muslim. They want to go to their mosque. They want to go to their church. The Jews want to go to their synagogue. They're going to make sure that you can't, so that that portion of your life is taken away from you. So all of these are demoralizing aspects, and that's how they're going to erase you morally. Last one is going to be physically. So again, the mask ties back into that. You're being erased physically, visually now, because you can't, like, if I did all my videos like this, first of all, you can't hear me, but on top of it, you can't even see my facial expressions anymore, right? It's really hard. It's really hard to communicate. So I go to school to pick up my kid, and I don't wear a mask. There's only my husband and I and one other guy, one other family, the husband and wife. They don't wear the mask. Everybody else wears a mask. And I can honestly say at this point, I don't know what people look like. I could not recognize them in the street if I saw them without a mask anymore. I wouldn't know who they are. So this is part of physically erasing you. And who's to say that's going to stop there? It might be further. You might have to wear a mask where you can only see the eyes. So it's going to be crazy. This is how they're doing it, erasing your physical being. And that way it makes it easier you're controlled, but you're also less empathetic towards others, right? If you don't know what they look like, it's easier. And think about it this way. I often think about the police that they're going to start using, or the army, or the small gangs of people that the government's going to start recruiting to actually enforce rules. If you're masked up and they can't see your face, it's much easier to go after you and punish you if you have no humanity about you, right? It's like arresting a robot. It doesn't matter. You can't see what they look like, so who the hell cares? So this is why the face mask is also erasing you physically, and as a side effect, making it easier for the new law enforcement to come after you. The forced vaccination is physically, so my body, my choice is okay for killing babies, but it's not going to be okay in the new world for you to decline the vaccine. So, even though it's not forced in the sense that they won't like grab you and jab you, which they might eventually, but they might not do that at the start, it'll be more along the lines of, well, if you don't have the vaccine, you can't send your kids to school. If you don't take the vaccine, you can't come back to work. If you don't take the vaccine, you can't go on public transport, and you can't enter stores, including grocery stores. So it'll be a whole bunch of those kinds of things where physically you have no autonomy anymore. Mobility, that's another one. So this one, we haven't seen this one yet, but it's coming. And what I mean by mobility is that the where you go, distance-wise, will be monitored. So right now, I'm allowed to go into the next town to go to Costco, for example. But in 2021, they will erase your ability to go into the next town, because the second lockdown is going to fail again, because obviously the lockdown is not a solution to a pandemic, or a so-called pandemic. So once that fails and the cases are still there and going up, they are going to say, well, it's because people traveled from town A to town B. So now we're going to have checkpoints. So you're going to be issued orders like, you can't move more than 4 kilometers out of your home, unless you don't have a grocery store in 4 kilometers. But aside from that, you can't go anywhere. And they're going to force, like, it's going to be Amazon that's going to benefit from that, because they're going to be delivering everything to you. So your mobility will be restricted. So this is another form of physically erasing you from being able to participate out in the world. So the physical one is a tough one, because that one could go really far. And it could go scary far. And what I mean by scary far is it can go into eugenics, right? So if you haven't had the vaccine, you're not allowed to have babies, and you must be sterilized. This is something we've seen before. So who knows? Who knows where that might go? Evil simply has no bounds. The only thing we can do is have all the good people speak up against it. But the physical one is very scary to me, because I think it could go very far. They could, the forces, the global forces, communistic forces who are slowly taking over now, could very easily start making clear rules on who can have babies, who's allowed to live, who's allowed to, who has one more year to live, and then, it's a scary thing. And this has been done before. This is not the first time that we would see governments deciding who lives and who dies. So scary. I knew this video was going to be depressing. So anyways, so once you're financially destitute, faceless, demoralized, isolated human, it will be so easy to take over control of everything. So that's the goal. That's what they're working for towards 2021 as the year progresses. This is what's going to happen. A lot of people don't see it yet, but those people will start to see it in the next months, possibly the next year. Anyways, that's my hope. My hope is that more people see this and call it out, and we have a chance to correct this by kicking out the globalist forces and protecting our countries. So anyways, guys, there you go. Have a great rest of the day. Tell me your comments. I always enjoy reading those. And I will see everybody in the next one. Cheers, everyone.